good with this? Are you excited about this?
Absolutely. I will talk about anything. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Truth Be Told, where honestly, it's in the name. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, back again on the reboot of a show that we started before. Kind of got some things going on. Wait, before that, my guy right here, you know it. You know him from Let's Talk Football at the Round Table. You know him from everything we do, and you saw him yesterday. My guy, Mr. Nicholas, I want the smoke, Rosario. What up, Nick?
Hey, Sean, it's good to see you again. It's 2 days in a row, man. That's a record lately anyways, but always good to be seen, my friend. Thank you. Sean and I had talked about wanting to do this again, and I think, I think a lot of people were positive on our first go round with the 6 episodes we did the first time around. So we thought we'd give it another shot. We thought we'd see if we could come up with something, and we'll see how this goes. But yeah, excited to be back.
Absolutely. So how you been?
Busy. Like I'll be honest. Like even looking at the intro, how different I look in the intro. I mean, for those of you who may not be aware, I did have weight loss surgery 7 weeks ago, and I've been working on my weight for the last, year and a half, as it were. So even watching the intro is kind of like, you can tell the difference. I mean, you can see I have like 3 less chins now than I do in that intro. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, again, very happy. And it's funny because that kind of ties in to what we're talking about today, right, Mr. Strong? Why don't you hit him with what we're talking about, buddy? Hit him with it.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Truth Be Told, where we tell it straight up like it is and give you personal examples and put it in our life. And honestly, like Nick alluded to, our body image, way we live, what our personal, what you see in the mirror is something that it affects everybody, and we'll get into kind of how it goes on a day-to-day basis, with us. But to start, I mean, Nick, you started to talk about the personal things you're going through. I'm kind of on the other side where I'm, I want to put on weight. I hate this, I hate to say that, but it's at the same time, like if I get to 200, I'm like, hey, all right, great. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's something. But talk to me. You already alluded to it, the things that you've been going through.
Yeah.
Kind of walk us through that, any, way that you feel comfortable, and just kind of like where that is.
For sure. Well, I mean, I'll start at the beginning. Like I was a chunky kid, like, chunky. You had, you got to shop in the Husky department, stuff like that. It's not a big deal. You're 9, 10 years old. You're like, he'll grow out of it. When you get to your teenage years, you usually grow a little bit, you thin out a little bit. And for a little bit, I did. At 13, I kind of thinned out. I did, there's pictures that, I got to find them, but there's pictures that exist of me being very slim. And then somewhere along the way, again, as high school went on, I finished high school.
When you were throwing the pitch at Wrigley.
Right. That was 14. That's what I said. Like I thinned out about 13 and I got a little, I wasn't as big, but it was fun. Those were good years, starting high school, that sort of thing. And then again, by the time high school ended, I was somewhere around 250, 260. So even that wasn't horrible. The only issue was I didn't grow this way. I was not tall ever. Like the tall, I'm what, 51 now, and I'm probably 5'3.5" on my best day. Yeah. If I put a little, if I wear the good shoes, I'm 5'4". But literally, I'm 5'3" somewhere, and it's like, so it never looked, it always looked like, again, 250, 260. Some people are like, well, that's not big. Well, I wasn't big per se, but short and stocky because I'm not tall. So the weight is all, you see it all. It's right in the middle. And that's where I've always carried my weight. So I look, so as I got older and I got heavier, people say, well, why do you joke about this? But I look like a bowling ball because my stomach was just, I carry all the weight literally in that mid region, everything is there. So when you're carrying, and at my heaviest, and a lot of people like kind of gasp when I say this. I mean, the heaviest I ever got was 495.
Yeah.
And that was October of 2015 when I actually went, got weighed, and was getting into a program for weight loss surgery.
Yeah.
They weigh you first and they go from there. And when I looked at the scale, I'm like, that can't be right. I mean, yeah, I knew I was big, and I knew, and again, all that. Like I said, you look in the mirror, you know what you look like. But the 495 really did kind of shock me that I got that big.
Yeah.
Because again, as you go along, some people, it's not that it's a joke, but like, hey, it's Big Nick, and I accepted that. Like, I knew what I looked like. I wasn't trying to be like,
I'm guilty.
No, it's okay. But see, that's my point. Is that it didn't bother me because I know what I look like. People say, well, did it? No, because I was big. Like, calling me Big Nick was not a way to insult me, or to really make, it was, I used it as a term of endearment in a lot of ways, because for me, that's just who I was. You know what I mean? Because again, as much as the weight affected me in some areas, I didn't let it affect me in others. When you talk about like day to day, in terms of because I go to work every day. Yeah. Like, I didn't let the fact that I was 495 pounds stop me from going to work.
Yeah.
I got up every morning, went to my job, did what I did, talked to my people.
I always thought, ever since I've met you and seen you in person, you always, and I don't mean it, you carry it well, and I mean that as in more of not a literal, but just like you own it, you own yourself. You've always been, hey, this is what it is, and you roll with it and you go with it, and I've always admired that from you.
Oh, well, thank you. And some of that is a little bit of just, I mean, it's probably insecurity a little bit, because again, you know you're big, but you don't want to let everybody know you're big. Right. In essence, you know what I mean? Like, you know it, and people can see you, so it's not like it's a mystery, but you don't acknowledge it in that way.
Right.
You don't sit there and go, oh, I know I'm 490 pounds, but you're still going to love me. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, but I will say, and I don't want to get too sidetracked, but like, again, to show you how day by day, but it affected me when it came to female relationships.
Huh.
Because again, how do they see me?
Right.
And do they want a guy who's 5'3" and 490 pounds?
Right.
In my head, no. Like, I would think, I'm not going to bother because she's not going to be interested anyways. So that's how it played into the day to day. In terms of like with just my friends or at work, or like they're just hanging out, I was fine with that. This is Big Nick, or this is my persona, this is who I am.
Yeah. But
on the reverse, very insecure when it came to women. And so that was always the double-edged sword of that, is like, yeah, because people say, you seem like a pretty confident guy. Yes, and in certain areas, I truly was. Like, I knew I could do my job. I did it well. Like, I knew, I knew I could talk to people. I knew that I could relate to people, all that. Like, I was fine with that. As long as it was like friendly and on that level, I was great.
Good.
When it came to personal matters in that sense, not so great. So that's where we talk about getting into the body image, and it's like I was almost Jekyll and Hyde with it, because that's how I felt. That's how I handled it. Yeah. Like, in one area, I knew I was very lacking and I was very insecure and not confident. So I had to make up for that by being confident in these other areas.
In other ways, yeah.
And so that's kind of what I did. And so that definitely played in. I mean, that's the body image I had. And again, even going into, like you, Sean, you were at my 50th birthday party.
Oh, yeah.
And recently I looked at pictures of that, because that was January of 2023, which was 2 months before I started the program that I just finished at Stroger. And I was probably around probably a good 460 in that photo.
Really?
In those photos. Yeah. If you look at them, I'm pretty heavy in the photos. And because in November of 22, I was about 467. So this was only a month and a half later, my party. So I was around 460-ish in that range. And to look at those pictures and go, wow, that's a year and almost a year and a half ago now. But to look at that, so that's where it. This one look at that. There you go. Sean's got the photo, and look at how. I mean, I'm kind of arched back, but you could see. I mean, underneath my chin there, I have a lot of skin there.
Yeah, you're a whole different guy in that picture, like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying though. But you look at it though, you could tell I'm much bigger. I mean, I know you haven't seen me full body, but I'm just saying, like, when I look at it, well, you can tell here. Yeah, this, like I said, I lost a ton under here, and the shoulder. Everybody tells me the shoulders look smaller. So yeah,
that was the first thing.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people notice too. It's like the shoulders the first thing. Because like I said, all my weight is carried in the middle. I got that spare tire I'm trying to get rid of. So, that's fine. But yeah, and so that was what started, really was the catalyst for a lot of this, of trying to change that. As much as I still am, because I feel like I'm still me in that sense. Like I'm, and again, if someone says Big Nick, I'm not going to correct you or beat you up or anything like that. Like,
I'm always going to call you Big Nick because your personality is big.
Right. No, I don't.
I met you.
And that's why I say, and that's why I'm saying I'm not offended at all by that. I get that. But, for me, I had to personally change it for my health and for what, for me, just getting older. It was like, well, you have two choices here. And it really came down to a choice for me. And this is not for anybody else. I'm talking specifically about me. It was more of a health thing. It's like, you could stay your weight if you really want to and eat whatever the heck you want and do whatever the heck you want. Yeah. But you might chop 15, 20 years off the end of your life because you just want to do that. Exactly. And for me, it was like, well, you know what? I got plenty I'd still like to do. And good Lord, as long as I'm supposed to be here, I'd like to be. And it was just like, well, you need to make changes then. And you need to do something to get yourself going in the right direction. Yeah. And it's amazing to me, Sean. It really is, because and this is why I say, and again, I'm not saying that all of a sudden the ladies are just flocking to me in droves. That's not my point to this.
They're beating I'm saying, door. I know. They're calling me.
They're calling you. No, but I mean, like, you realize the difference, though, when you drop some weight and they're like, oh, my God, you look great, Nick, blah, blah, blah. And you're going, oh, okay. Sure. No, but I'm just saying, like, it's just one of those things where you go, oh, so you notice now. You notice Big Nicky, do you? Right. Okay. Well, very good. That's nice to know. Right. But again, it's that aesthetically, it's that body image, it's that whole thing. It encompasses all of that. Like, people do notice when you drop a significant, like, because let's be honest, 460 to my birthday to now. I mean, I was just weighed last Friday when I went back to my checkup. I was 348.
Let's go.
And I haven't been under 350. Right. I haven't been under 350 in probably 20 years, bro. So that's why I'm saying, yeah. And so you do notice a difference, even when I look in the mirror now, because again, I didn't always look in the mirror. I'm like, I know it's there. I don't need to look at it. Yeah. Now you kind of go, that does look small. I'm saying, like, this looks good. Okay. Whatever. Oh, that's good. All right, good. Okay. So, I mean, I'm on the right track, but again, this is a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. And it really has encompassed a lot of just attitude, and also in the last year and a half, how things have changed in my mind mentally. Things have changed. And I mean, I'm going to be very honest, because this is what this show is about. Sean and I did start this to just be 100% truthful with everyone. Yep. Like, this is the whole point. This is the name of the show. Like, I even started seeing a therapist about 6 weeks ago. I've had 3 appointments with him because I want to make sure my mind is right as well. And then, that physically I'm good, mentally I'm good, spiritually I'm good, all that. Like, I want to be able to just be the best version of myself that I could be right now. And that encompasses all that. Like, we all know that, mentally you can mess your own self up very easily. And you can believe anything and tell yourself anything, and you could totally screw yourself up just with your own mind. And so I wanted to be clear of all of that. I just wanted to be able to, again, change the image I have physically. Because, like I said, I still feel I'm still Nick. I still joke around with everybody. I still like to have a good time. I still like to do all that. Same guy, but physically, I want to be healthier. I want to be different in that regard. So that's my story.
Oh, absolutely, man. Shout out to you, man. Hey, that's huge, man. You said 348?
348, yep.
Okay, I like that. All right, my guy. Hey, man. I've seen you at every stage since 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know where you're at, and I'm glad for you, man. I'm glad for you, man, because I think this will. I mean, it's good for your health. I mean, we've hung out, and
tore it up. Tore it.
Oh yeah, but
that birthday we had a few. That birthday was something else, right?
That was
a good
nice.
one.
That
was a good one. Right, that was a good one. It was a good one.
It would have been nicer if we were at Northwestern or Northern Illinois. That's for another time, another day. I'm not getting in trouble today. I'm mad about that. That was my fault.
I know. We're good. We're good. Let's continue. Right. We're good. Let's move it on.
So for me, honestly, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. You know what I mean? Around 13, 14, I kind of had a growth spurt, got taller. In that time I was, kind of physically fit. I never worked out until I got to high school. And then once I went to high school, started playing football and I started doing weightlifting and that type of stuff. So for the most part throughout high school, I was at I want to say 178, 180, like always right there. You know what I mean? Never really big, never really bulk, just kind of always kind of at that place. I didn't personally care, but it wasn't until I had this sophomore year, and I was doing really well in football, and it was a young thing and everything. And one of the head captain cheerleader came up to me and slipped their arm in between my arm and hey, where are we going where are we going this weekend, that type of thing. And I'm
right.
I was like
wherever you want, sweetheart. Right, yeah, wherever you want to go, we're going. Right, exactly.
And then she did that thing that girls do where they kind of pull back the arm and they kind of try to hold your bicep, and it was almost like bone, and she said, "Oh, what?" And I was like, yeah. Wow. And she just left. She's like, all right.
Whoa, really? She took off on you, bro? Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. It was so crazy because it was like, it blew my head up for a second and then it immediately crashed it back down.
That was it. You were 2 seconds later, you were flat.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. But so that's always been something that's been in my mind. And, I can't tell how many times, on the football field, I was always great when it came to the quick feet and the juking and things like that. But I remember a game where I played and we were down and we were coming back and I had a little toss out to the right and there was two guys coming at me and I thought I was Jerome Bettis. I'm lowering my shoulder. They picked me up and threw me back. Look, I've always had that, I'm trying to work out, I'm trying to lift. And it's for me, it was I can never gain weight. For me, it was always I had a buddy that got on creatine or creatine and all that, and would work out and do that type of stuff. And I've, thought, man, I want to get into that, man. how do I eat right? I've never done it. And for me, it's always kind of been damn, I can't gain any weight, man. I'm just kind of skinny. I'm not strong. But, I always do this, but when I look at it, pulled back, I'm like, damn, that's not really anything to
right. Wait a minute, what is this? No,
right. So I mean, and that was what it was like up until 30, and then 30, all of that weight, I stopped becoming. I wasn't as active, so all that weight just sat. I worked the overnights, so I ate at the worst possible time. I stayed awake, but was not active.
Yeah. Oh,
just kind of
weird times. Yeah.
Right, so, and I did that for 10 years of my life almost, so it was one of those things where it was just kind of it just, I started to not balloon up, but for me, it was I got up to 220, you know what I mean? And it was all kind of mainly in the torso.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And right in that area. Arms never grew.
Yeah.
That didn't get it. That didn't work out. But it was one of those things where it was kind of okay, that's working. That's okay. That's it. And, but it was, it was one of those where people would say things to me about it. And I would kind of notice it because I'd started having back problems and I'd, get up at certain times because I don't sleep all that well and all that. So, it would be this and that, but it didn't affect me until it was one of those situations where it was you get, somebody kind of pushes in on your stomach and it's kind of okay. You're not, and I'm like,
yeah.
Well, I remember when I went to a concert and I was talking to this guy and I was like, man, everybody, they want a girl with, girls talking about they want a guy with, chiseled and all this nonsense. Nah, baby, I'm thinking about the girl, man. I let my stomach get a little big so she can rest her head on that pillow, baby.
All right, well, there you go.
I mean,
no, I do though. Yeah, exactly.
But and to that point, like it, yeah, like on a day to day, like it was something that I thought about, and I'm not in the public as much. I'm more one-on-one with the people, so I don't really have to think about it as much. But you being at Wrigley, you being out around lots of people, like on a day-to-day basis, like how does it affect your day-to-day? And then now that you are losing weight drastically, you are on this program, like what does that how you feel?
Well, it's funny because before, like I said, I didn't, as far as work went, I didn't let it bother me so much because I'm like, well, if you don't want to ask me something or if you don't want to talk to me because I'm heavy, that's on you. Yeah. Like I know what I know, and I know how to do my job, and I know what, but again, also too, you have to realize that being as heavy as I was did come with some issues. So day to day, it did affect me though, because there was for a while before I really got back on. Because again, I'll share this again, or I might have shared this before. When I got really big, I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. Yeah. So I used a CPAP machine to sleep with. Well, for a while I didn't have one because the first one I had kind of broke down on me. It was old and whatever. So there was a time while I was at work where I would fall asleep in the chair if I was sitting there too long and stuff like that. So it did kind of affect the day to day because people started to go, "Is he okay? Yeah. What's wrong? Like, why is he falling asleep?" And luckily,
we had pizza that time. You was talking, and that happened.
Yeah, see there, and that's what. Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like, luckily, I worked with 3 angels, and I love these ladies, and I will mention them because they're worth mentioning. They're the ladies I worked with when I worked in the commissaries at Wrigley. Carol, Judy, and Rose. They always looked out for me. They would be like, "Nikki, you fell asleep again," or they would tap me and go, "Hey, somebody's coming," or like they looked out for me. They really did, and I really appreciated it. I want them to know that, and I've told them that. I mean, I see them at the park still, even though I work in a different department. I make sure I go up and visit them. I love those 3 ladies dearly, and they were always great to me. They're like, "Hey, somebody's coming. You need to get up." And I'll never forget the one time one of the vendors took a picture of me while I was sleeping, because again, he thought it was funny, and I get it. There's a big guy sleeping in the corner. They actually reamed him a new one saying, "You really think it's funny that he's sleeping over there? Like, you do realize he has a medical condition, right? Like, if you go show somebody that, you could get him fired." Right. Like, they totally had my back and made him he literally erased the picture off his phone. Like, they got to him so much that he erased the picture off his phone that he took of me sleeping. So that's why I say those 3 ladies are angels. Again, Carol, Judy, and Rose, I love you 3. Thank you so much for always looking out for me. But yeah, so it was, there was some times where I think people questioned, like, why is this guy here? He's not effectively doing his job if he's sleeping. So there was a lot of that. That was early, probably 22. Like I said, November 22, when I got a new doctor, 467 I weighed, and it was like, okay, now it's time to make some changes. And again, after my birthday is when I said, okay, I need to do something. Yeah. So yeah, it did affect it for a little while, and now, like I said, it's not because I think it's so different, because again, I feel I'm the same person, but again, losing 100 and what is that? Almost 120 pounds does wonders for you when you start walking around and people go, "Oh, hey, Nick," or, "Oh my God, you look great, man," or blah, 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 blah. How's it going? Like, oh, now you're talking to me? Right. Now right. You're acknowledging Big Nicky over here? Like, I see how it goes. And again, it's fine. I'm not going to be one of those guys who's like, "Oh, I'm looking out for you because you never," no. Like, it is what it is. And that's the thing. And see, that's part of the thing too. Whether people sometimes want to admit it or not. And again, I think we've all been guilty of it in our lives. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you see a big person, your first thought is to try to avoid them or to, not really look at them, or because we all have thoughts about stuff. And you think, man, why is that guy so big? Or, man, that lady's really big. Well, I wonder what happened. Like, no, we're all human. We're not perfect. We've all had those thoughts, and we've all had, even me as a big guy, I've seen bigger people and gone, damn, I'm glad I'm not that big. Like, but why would you say that? You know what I mean? Like, so we've all been guilty of that. If we're, again, truth be told, let's be honest about stuff. So it is very telling now that as I've lost this weight, as I said, the way people, I don't say they're treating me differently, but I think I'm being acknowledged more by some people than I was before, especially at work. And I find that interesting, just for me. Again, I won't mention it to them, and I won't. Yeah, I mean now it's.
Oh, okay.
But well, no, not just the opposite sex. I'm talking about people in general. Even some bosses I had, who would they'd say hi.
Yeah, okay.
Like, hey Nick, but now it's like they'll stop and have a conversation with me, and you go, oh, I didn't realize we talk like this. Very nice. But you know what I mean? And so that's why, and you wonder, well, what is that?
Right.
Is it because they noticed that I've lost 100 pounds? Like, whatever it is, they probably don't know exactly how much I've lost. But again, when you could tell the difference, and you could see that I'm much slimmer than I was, a year ago. So again, I'll take that in stride and just, okay, thanks. Appreciate the conversation. Let's move on. We're all working, But yeah, day to day, it is greatly affected, I think, because again, whether you want to admit it or not, everybody has a perception in their head, right? Of people that they want to deal with, don't want to deal with, or people that they may find aesthetically pleasing and not aesthetically pleasing, who they want to talk to or not talk to. So it is kind of interesting to be now on the other side of that and see that. You know what I mean? Like, and kind of in my mind, I acknowledge it, but I will never acknowledge it to them, because to me, there's no reason to do that. Like, that's, I'm not mad at anyone. Like, it's not your fault I was 495 pounds at one time. Like, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are things that I have to take care of, and I have to control myself. And again,
you are.
I want to stress. Well, I want to stress this because I really do. Because I'm talking about me. This is my experience. This is what I'm going through. Everybody's different, and I know everybody has their own thing. And whether you feel you're too big, because I think this is something Sean and I were going to get into as well, because I think this is very important. It's how you see yourself.
Yep.
Because you don't see yourself the way other people do, right? Like, we see ourselves differently than other people do. And I read something. I thought this was interesting. It said that you're actually 20% more attractive to other people than you think you are to yourself. Which I find that very fascinating, because I've been reading up on some things lately, just trying to work through stuff. So it's like, and I heard that quote from a couple of different people, which is the only reason I'm mentioning it. Is that it says people find you 20% more attractive than you find yourself. So I thought that was interesting too. So I thought, again, these are things that in some way I'm starting to deal with a little bit. Again, I don't look like Fabio or anything, and that's fine. I don't want to, but I just want to be able
to look like you.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to get to a point where I'm healthy.
Yeah.
And I look proportionate to my body. And, hey, if that attracts someone, then great. Again,
the personality, the persona is going to bring him in, bro. Come on, man.
Well,
you've seen my man on karaoke. Yeah. Then
sure.
In droves. I've seen girls walk up to you like, oh my God.
Yeah, you're hilarious. Yeah, you're a funny guy, Sean. No.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I don't know what you mean, but I'm just saying. But yeah, but it is kind of funny to see that dichotomy there of like before and now.
Oh yeah,
it's just a little different, and so yeah, that's interesting to me.
So in my regard, again, it's a lot different on the other side of the spectrum. But like I said, I was up to 200, 215, 220, that type of stuff. And it wasn't like this kind of, like what you think of like the prototypical like running back or something. It wasn't that. It was all in the stomach. It was all in the man boobs that were coming. Like whole part.
Oh yeah.
And
I got those.
And Cat would let me know. From time to time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And then my dad pulled out the, when are you expecting? When are you gonna have the baby?
The old man got you, huh? Right. Thanks, Pops. Appreciate that. Right?
Look at you. Don't start with me right now. Although
having heard the stories about your father, I'm sure he's still in pretty good shape for his age, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look, he called me up at 9:30 in the morning on Father's Day, and he said, good to hear from you, son. I said, I didn't call you. He said, yeah, I know. Oh
Oh
god.
man, I love it. That is great. Yeah,
And,
he got you.
look,
He's like, all right, bud.
and look, and you know, not to sidetrack, but not to sideboard, but and then I'm one of seven siblings,
Right.
and he was
Yeah.
like, so your oldest brother that just had a stroke drove 4.5 hours down here just to see you,
Oh
and your other brother came from Florida,
wow.
so you're kind of dropping to that bottom level.
Oh man,
That totem
no!
pole.
Look at that, man. He
It's like,
really hit you with it. You
I
really
was like,
got it.
wow. I was like, what? Really? Oh my goodness. No. So,
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's
needless to
good.
say, that I mean, that is still something that I do think about. Especially now it's nice, hot outside, pool season. You start
Yeah.
taking your shirt off a little bit more. I know Kat's talking about coming to the pool when she gets back. So, that's always something that's on your mind. But I have noticed, to your point about people noticing it, saying it. I have, you get older, personal side issue, like kind of,
Yeah.
you get, everything kind of digestively goes down, something comes back,
Right. Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
nonsense.
For
So
sure.
with that, from time to time, you do throw up, you do,
Yeah.
because it can't get down. And I mean, it's great if you're losing weight, but when you're not trying to have that happen, and then all of a sudden you're dropping back down. I went from like 220 to like 175, 180.
Oh, really?
And
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, no, this was like a period of like 2 or 3 days where I couldn't. It was
Right.
soup type stuff, soup noodles, that type of shit. I was
Okay.
fine. I
Okay.
couldn't get
Yeah.
anything big, any
Right. Solid
steak.
food down. Yeah. Yeah.
So no, and again, I've looked up on everything on WebMD, and I am part of that problem. One of the things it says is don't drink alcohol. I do that. Another thing, don't drink caffeine or coffee. Like I do that. Another thing, that don't smoke. I smoke black and milds. So it's kind of like, oh, you can stop these things, and then maybe that will stop. And it's a whole big thing. But I've noticed. I say that to say I've noticed that, like, when I've lost the weight, like Kat will say, "Oh wow, look at you! Oh, you're looking all good now. Look at are you losing weight so you can go talk to some of them? You know what I mean?" And I'm like, "No, I don't eat. I'm not doing this on purpose. I want to be eating. Okay, I am happy and sit right here. I want to be big, But I have noticed she's been like, "Oh well, you look nice, blah blah blah." So I mean, it's nice to hear, and it's definitely, like you said, it's definitely interesting, because you're like, oh, so I didn't look that way earlier, like, so I wasn't appealing.
Right. Well, yeah, and
thanks. You know what I mean?
And again, in my mind, I wasn't either, though. So that's why I'm saying. So they were just playing into what I was already thinking in my head.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I would say, I'm not gonna. Because believe me, there's been a few girls I've been like, I would love to talk to her, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not gonna. But I think I'll just pass. I don't. You know what I mean? You fear. No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
They would know.
Hey, no, like I said, it's fine. I am working on me. Again, that's not my focus. I'm, because one of the things too, with all this, and again, talking to someone about it, like I said, I did mention I have been going to therapy, is getting the questions back. When I would tell him something, he'd be like, well, okay, but let me ask you this. What do you think about it? And you'd be like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And this is the reason I wanted to go, because you need someone sometimes to bounce that off you so you can actually think a different way. Because like I said, your mind is set one way where you think this way, and then someone throws another option at you and you go, oh, I didn't think of it like that.
Exactly.
Let me try that. And so again, especially with body image, because again, even being, 348 pounds now, there's still things that like I said, I'll take a look in the mirror and go, yeah, I can't wait till that, that stomach is gone, or I can't wait till I don't see this anymore. That, and so you could still pick yourself apart, even though you're working on what it is you're trying to do. And it's like, that's what I say. The mental thing is very important too with body image, because you could trick yourself or tell yourself that, man, I still don't look good, or this doesn't look right, or whatever. We're our own worst critics 99% of the time, right? So, and I think, like I said, Sean and I wanted to get into this a little bit, because I think this does translate, and again, I'm not trying to speak for women. That is not my point here. But I'm saying in conversations, obviously, that I've had, I have, some really good female friends, and I have some, obviously, female coworkers that I have that I've talked with them about different things, and I'm truly amazed sometimes at how women see themselves.
Yep.
And I say that to say that because, again, when I see them, obviously I look at them one way because, again, honestly,
You have
I'm
a
a male.
penis.
Well, thank you, Sean. I do. That is correct.
Truth be
And
told,
right? Truth be told, as I said, we're being honest here, folks. Men look at women. Let's just
there it is.
get that out of the way
There
now. For those of you who don't think so, we do. And again, and I've been honest with a couple of my coworkers about, yeah, I think you're attractive, but that's not where we're at right now. Like, it's not about that. But I can't, because that's the thing too. Like, just me acknowledging that a woman is attractive doesn't mean it has to go somewhere.
Right.
Like, that's my mind. Maybe other people feel differently, and that's fine.
Well,
but for me, like, being honest with women, being like, because I think that helps them as well, because they may be feeling like, hey, I'm not attractive. And I'm here to tell you that's not true, because actually you're very attractive. And so that's all I'm saying is that, body image is plays such a critical part, I think, in our everyday lives. And it really does play a factor in the way we think about things and the way that we approach things and the way that we set out to do things even. Like, it really does, because, again, what are we bombarded with? And again, this is not anything against skinnier women, but that's what we've been told is beautiful, right?
Well,
you look at magazines, supermodels are usually 110, 115 pounds. Fine. I mean, that's great. Yes, you women are very beautiful, but not every woman looks like that.
right.
And not every woman is going to look like that. Like, everybody's built differently. Not everybody's going to be 110, 115 pounds, slim stomach, long legs, whatever. Like, that's not going to happen. And and that's why those people are put in those situations, because that's what they do look like. They're they're to me, they're more the exception than the rule.
Right.
Like,
No,
I've met plenty of women in my day that I've encountered in my everyday life, from work to school to whatever.
That are not.
And a lot of them don't look like that. I'm just saying.
No.
And again, they don't look bad, and I'm not saying that. But my point is, the view that they have is that, well, this is what's beautiful. And so if I don't look like that, then I must not be beautiful.
Well,
which,
and
ladies,
even with that, I think a lot of now is becoming more of the BBW, the big, big butts and that type of thing. And even now, looking at you, then you have a girl that might be more modest and be self-conscious about that, because I don't have X, Y, and Z, and that's what they're looking. Look, and I think you're right, because at the end of the day, it's we all kind of subconsciously have a taste. There's a little something like, I like a little something this.
Yeah, exactly. Blah, blah, blah. I like this. I like this. Or
and this is what I've always said. I mean, when it comes to kind of with women, because I've always said there's a demographic for everybody. Like, everybody has an area, and a lot of times we get caught up in the you're looking on Instagram, Facebook, all these, and everybody's best pictures and all this type of thing. You start getting into this imaginary world. Oh, they're doing this, and they look like this, and they're with this, and blah blah blah. And it's just like, no, that none of that does nothing to do with you. And I've shout out to Kat. Her and I have gone, back and forth on this, because a lot of times, like, she'll, put on a dress or put something on and, be looking this and that. And then she'll be like, oh, I think I look fat, and I think I look good. And I'm like, no, oh my God, you look amazing. Like, what are you talking about? Well, she's like, well, I don't look like this person. I don't look like that person. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, you look perfect to me. Right. Why is this? But I have to understand that in her mind, it's kind of like she has an image of what she
should look like. Or should look like. Right.
And that's her whole world. And me saying that, she'll say, oh, well, you have to say that, this and that. I'm like, yeah, I mean, maybe, yes, there is some truth to that, but still, maybe
a small kernel of truth in that, right? But okay, right, for sure.
I've seen the wrath. A little bit. But in reality, but truthfully, like, I honestly am just like, no, like, genuinely, you look great. Like, this, there's nothing wrong with any of that. But for them, for women, and again, like Nick said, not speaking for y'all. Not trying to. I'm not man. I'm just from my experience.
Right, my experience only. This is from me, my point of view. Right, my experience. Right, exactly.
It affects them. It plays
does
a major role in their day to day with just with everything. There have been times when she's upset about something having to do with weight or being bloated or this time or whatever.
Yeah.
And that starts something, and I'm like, I don't even know why we're in this back and forth, and it's because I didn't like the way I looked, and I get that now. We had to go all the way around the ring around the rosy to get it.
To get it, but yeah, and that's why I say, because like I said, I understand, and again, I get it because I've been in that space too. Like, I don't feel I was attractive to women looking as big, being as big as I was. Like, that's why I said, like, I was like, okay, yeah, no, it's okay. I don't need to deal with that right now. Like, I'm sure she's looking for something that isn't me. You tell yourself that again. And that's the thing. And, and again, people will say, well, that's superficial, and it could be, but it's all about body image. I mean, that's what we're talking about here today. Like, that's part of how you see yourself. And then that's how you think other people see you the same way that you do. Right. And that's the thing. And again, and then you let the good things, that good qualities about you sometimes get overlooked because you're so busy focused on the other stuff. And you go, maybe the girl does like your personality or likes the way you do, your sense of humor and all this, but you're not even going to try because of what you physically look like. And you go, well, it's okay. I'm not even going to bother. And again, that has been my experience where I've done that plenty. So again, it's just my own way of how I look and how I feel I look to other people. But yeah, it's probably, and again, not to stutter over my words, but I mean, I can't stress, I think, especially now that, again, I've started to lose inches off of my body and that sort of thing, just how different I see myself now and how different I feel when I get up in the morning, or feel when I actually do some exercise and I don't get winded right away. And I'm like, ooh, I can go an extra, maybe a couple blocks, or I can walk around the stadium a second time to get some more exercise in because I feel fine. You know what I mean? The physical, I think sometimes the benefits of that, of just, it just makes you feel better. And again, I feel great now. I do feel great. I get up in the morning. I feel good. I'm not carrying the extra weight. I get up, I do something, whatever, walk around, do a thing, whatever it is. It just makes me feel better about me and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so, my body image has changed, and how I look at myself and how I'm going to look at myself going forward. And I think that's a personal decision, and that's something that everybody, has to come to on their own. Again, I don't want to speak for anyone at all. I'm merely speaking about myself. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much different, things are, and how I'm looking at things differently now that I've managed to do this. And again, I encourage people for their own. This is more for, like, if you really feel like there's something you don't like about yourself, maybe ask yourself why. Why is it you don't like the way you look? Why is it you don't feel as comfortable in your clothes, or whatever it is? But don't be so hard on yourself. Just ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Like, where is this coming from? Why is this here? Because to me, we are all human. We all bleed the same. Some of us, right, we look different. We're different shades. We're different sizes. We're different whatever. But the fact is, on the inside a lot, we're the same. We bleed the same. We have the same soul, right? We all have a heart. We all have, and again, I treat everybody, I try, okay? I'm not perfect either. But I try to just treat people with respect, regardless of your size, your image, whatever it is, because to me, we're all people. And I just, I know what it's like to be on that end, to be the big guy that people laugh at or jeer at or look at funny on the bus or whatever it is. I've been on that end, trust me. I was 500 pounds pretty much. So, I got the looks, I got the stares, I got the little kids laughing. I got a little kid in trouble on the bus once because he turned around and went, "Mommy, that guy's fat." The mom's like, "Turn around, that's not nice." and kind of slapped him on his hand. I was like, oh, I got the kid in trouble because I'm fat. That's terrible. But that's what I'm talking about. It's all about that image, and it's all about that, the way that you're perceived, that, that goes. So, I mean, I think, Sean, I don't know if you have anything else to say on this matter, but I think I've pretty much said everything that I needed to say.
Well, yeah, no, and I mean, I think you said it well. Honestly, honestly, I mean, you can tie that up right there. I think that was great, honestly, and I don't want to go any further. But look, Nick, I'm so glad we were able to get back on here and do this.
Yeah, me too.
And kind of, I look forward to more because I think there's a number of other topics that kind of that connect to this. Health, I think, is key.
Oh yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
One of the things we should talk about is kind of the stigma.
Sorry, I got a fly in the house.
Oh yeah, I get it. You're just swatting me.
Just swat at him.
But I think one of the things is the stigma of men and going to the doctor and
yeah, that's a big one too.
You know what I mean?
No, you know what? That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, and the things that you going through, I know there was a process to get you up to that point. I know for me, and I mean, we both came from that era of rub some dirt on it, and yeah,
get back out there, son. You're not hurt. Right. Rub that dirt on it.
You're not
go back out there.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that is something.
You're not crying, are you? Get out there. No, I'm kidding.
Can you walk? Can you breathe? All right, go.
Right. Exactly. Get back out there.
Something that would be good for us to touch on, and I mean, I think our audience might like that, man. For all of you that are watching, hit up in the comments, say what's good, when you're here, or catch it on the rewind when we play it a little bit later. Right. But look, hey,
for sure,
this is Truth Be Told. That guy over there, Mr. Nicholas Rosario.
Thank you. Always good to be here. Love you, Sean. Thank you, sir.
You know I am.
You know who he is. You know who he is. Well, there he is. Point that way. That guy. There he is.
Yeah. The only guy that still blames him for this.
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
Never going to get over it.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
People. Are you good with this? Are you excited about this?
Absolutely. I will talk about anything. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to